Reddit Fresh.
Am I the idiot for telling my fiancé his parents are not welcome at our house? I, 25F, am getting married in September to my fiancé Jack, 29M. We have been dating for about 3 years and engaged for 1. We just got a new home a month ago and we could not be happier. It's like our life is coming together piece by piece. The major issue is, we are 3 blocks away from my future mother and father-in-law. I think they are nice people. They have always treated me like family, but they are very intrusive. They will come over unannounced. Bring over food while I'm planning to cook. His dad will come on my days off to fix things. On the surface this all sounds so nice, and it is. I am grateful. They are always over though. I see them every other day. We have dinner with them 3 times a week, at least. His mom even offered to do my laundry. His dad calls at 11:30 p.m. The list goes on. This all is so sweet, but OMG, I want to care for my man. LOL, I want to cook for him and be his partner. I feel like I'm living in an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond. My fiancé understands why I get upset, but he and his siblings are close with his family. There are 5 kids and they all love seeing the parents daily. Again, it's nice, but they are always over. We try to set boundaries, but they never work. The other day his mom dropped off dinner while I was cooking and I said she needs to leave. To let me do my thing, she needs to bring the food home and stop doing this. She looked devastated. I felt so bad after, but I snapped. My fiancé was furious. One of my sister-in-laws texted me and called me TA. I tried to apologize, but my future mother-in-law just wasn't having it. I feel like I effed things up for the rest of my marriage with my in-laws. I'm now the daughter-in-law with the attitude, so am I the idiot and how do I fix this? Edit, we have attempted to set boundaries, they never work. My fiancé is very loving, but this is his only flaw. On another note, he has brothers and it does not bother his sister-in-laws. Which is very confusing to me. I really do think these people are sweet and my fiancé and I have tried for boundaries, but because the rest of the family does not mind, I think his parents feel like we should not either, and I feel bad I hurt his mom. Not the idiot. But there's a big problem. If your fiancé is okay with this arrangement, there is no fixing this and you are going to be fighting this fight for your whole life. Or at least until your marriage ends. Think real hard about that before the wedding. Not the idiot. Listen, I feel bad for your mother-in-law because she got snapped at when she was probably just doing something she thought was helpful and nice. However, you and your spouse have already tried to establish boundaries, but it isn't working. Why? Is it because he caves in, or they don't listen? You know how you get close to your in-laws so that they can come over unannounced? Boundaries. Wanting to help and actually helping are 2 different things sometimes. You have the right to some privacy and that it be honored 100% by your spouse. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for agreeing to babysit my friend's kids on my day off? My BF, 36, male, and I, 29, female, have been together for a year. We moved together last month. We don't have kids and we are not planning on having them. Both of us work 5 days a week, but my days off are always Thursday and Friday, while his days off vary from week to week, so our days off don't always match and it's possible that they don't match for weeks or even a couple of months if we are unlucky enough. So, last week my BF's days off were Friday and Saturday, and mine as usual were Thursday and Friday, which meant both of us were free on Friday and we were pretty excited to enjoy our day off together. It was our first day off together since we moved together. We didn't have anything planned, but I was looking forward to lazing around with him the entire day. Friday, at 2 a.m. I received a call from my best friend, F29. She was crying because her husband, he is a truck driver, was in a traffic accident. The accident was in a city 8 hours away, and he was taken to the nearest hospital in a really bad shape. My friend said she and her mother-in-law wanted to leave for the hospital right now so they could be there by mid-morning. My best friend has a 10-month-old son, and she said she obviously can't get a hold of her usual babysitter at 2 a.m., so she asked me if I can watch her son for a few hours until she can reach her babysitter. Now, I'm also not a huge fan of kids, especially babies. I don't know how to deal with them, but this was an emergency and I understand it's probably impossible to get a babysitter at 2 a.m. My friend had never asked me to babysit before as she knows I'm not good with kids, but this is an emergency and what are friends for, right? So, I said yes and I told her she could drop the baby at my place. As soon as I disconnected the call, my boyfriend told me he couldn't believe I agreed to babysit and that he didn't want a screaming baby in our house that would ruin his day. I agreed he shouldn't be forced to interact with the kid against his will. After all, I was the one that agreed to babysit, so I called my friend and told her I will babysit at her place instead. My boyfriend got angry at me again, but I left anyway and went to my friend's place. My friend called the babysitter at 8 a.m., but she said she wasn't available until noon. So, I ended up babysitting from 2 a.m. until noon. When I returned to my place, my boyfriend was still angry at me. He said I ruined our day off together as I was missing half the day to go babysit a kid that's not even mine. I tried to explain that I was just trying to help my friend. He has been ignoring me since Friday. He said it was clear to me my best friend is more important than him as I picked helping her over spending the day with him. I told him it was not a matter of who is more important, but he is still upset. I understand I missed half a day off with him and that we might not get another for a few weeks, but I think it was a special circumstance. My best friend needed my help. Am I the idiot? Edit, I'm reading all the replies right now. For info, yes, I did tell him that my beastie's husband was in an accident. We didn't have anything planned except for sleeping in and lazing around the entire day. My beastie's husband was in ICU until Monday morning. He was moved to another ward and he is expected to make a full recovery. My friend and her mother-in-law are still by his side. I didn't need to babysit the baby again after I gave him to the babysitter Friday noon, as the baby's other grandma, my friend's mom, flew to our city the next day to pick up her grandkid and the baby is staying with her during this situation. Not the idiot, I'm sorry, but this is bringing up a ton of red flags. He is acting incredibly immature. You helped a friend in need and had kept your part of your promise to not force the baby on him. You went to her apartment and took the baby there. It's not like the parents were going out to party or date. There was an emergency and no one else was able to care for the child in the meantime. I implore you to rethink this relationship, because if this is how he acts when he doesn't get his way over something as small as not seeing you for a few hours, I'd rather not stick around when he doesn't get his way for bigger things. Run. NTA, you helped a friend who had an emergency. This wasn't some small situation. Her husband is seriously injured and in a hospital hours away. You were being a supportive and compassionate friend/human. This was an isolated situation and your BF is acting like you moved a baby permanently. Sounds like your BF is the one who owes you an apology for being a massive insensitive jerk. You do not owe him an apology whatsoever. Relationships are give and take and you should support each other. He should have been supportive in your decision to help a friend. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for asking my coworker to change her use of alarms to manage her ADHD? I work in a cubicle farm that's pretty open plan. You can hear mostly everything from other cubicles nearby. My female 35 coworker, 30s, F, has ADHD. She has shared with me that she has a really hard time keeping track of time, managing her day, and ensuring tasks get done in a timely fashion. As a self-management tool, she sets her phone alarm for everything. It goes off probably 15 to 20 times a day, at full volume, to remind her to pick up her copies, leave for a meeting, sign onto Zoom, eat lunch, check her mailbox, so many things. The alarm is jarring and sometimes she silences it so it goes off again only a few minutes later. I've tried wearing noise-canceling headphones and using a white noise machine, but neither of those prevent me from being startled 15 to 20 times a day. Clients I'm on the phone with have mentioned they hear it too. I politely asked my coworker to either change the alarm sound to something calmer, use headphones connected to her phone, or use a different time management system that doesn't audibly alert everyone nearby. She got extremely angry and said I don't understand how hard her life is with ADHD, and if I did, I'd never make a request like that. She also threatened to go to HR if I bothered her again. This response seemed so over the top because usually my interactions with people are calm and kind. I now worry I did something wrong. Reddit, am I the idiot? Not the idiot, I would go to HR first. I would explain the situation, leave out the ADHD part since you got this from a coworker and not her doctor. Just give them the facts. She sets alarms for everything. They go off 15 to 20 times a day. They are loud and obtrusive. You've asked her to turn them down and use another tool, and she has refused, and customers have commented on the noise. Then let HR fix this. Not the idiot. She doesn't have the right to interfere with other people's functioning to mitigate her disability. That's unreasonable, and she needs to come up with a better solution. In addition to your proposals, devices like Fitbits can be set up with vibrating alarms that wouldn't disturb anyone else. For example, you should lodge a complaint with HR over the work disruption this causes. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for involving my frat bro's dad into the debt he owes me? For background, I, male 23, currently live with my fraternity brothers in this college town. We live in a 3x3. Originally, one of our brothers, Carl, male 27, not real name, was in charge of paying the rent every month. We would send him our share of the rent and he would pay our landlord, F, in full. Back in February, I was approved for the Built card, which prides itself in giving points and waiving fees for paying rent. I asked Carl if I could take over the rent from there on, and he agreed. That same day, he also asked me if I could speak with him and the other roommates that afternoon. Weird, but I said I can be there. I come to pay for March's rent, and the landlord makes a group chat with all of us and states, "Thank you for your payment of $1,150. Last month, I only received a payment of $150. There is a late fee of $50, so I would still be owed $1,050 for February. I will take that $1,050 from the payment recently made and apply the excess $100 for March's rent. For March, I would still need $1,050 for rent. Be sure this is paid before the 5th to avoid the late fee." After receiving this message, I was immediately called by my roommate. I spoke with him on the phone and at home. I voiced my feelings of distrust and concern because I would have assumed he could come to us, his brothers. The household spoke with him as well. Reluctantly, I fronted the money, but told Carl, "You owe me. And I'm not saying pay me back in full in a week, but please put some effort into repaying me." Currently, I am owed over $1,500 due to him being unable to pay his portion of rent. Carl does theater and has many practices. This is his major. But due to these practices, he has apparently cut hours while at work these past months. I was only made aware of this by one of our other roommates, who works with Carl and was asked to cover multiple shifts. Carl also goes out with friends 1 to 2 times a month. I'm all for enjoying life and treating yourself, but it does feel wrong to me that he goes out when he could save money to pay off his debts or have his responsibilities in line. About once a week since this began, I've spoken with him about how it is going and how money is coming along since I've only been paid $40 back for everything he owes me as of late. His plan has mostly revolved around trying to get loans or financial aid, but plans never seem to fall through. My final straw was when he went to Las Vegas in May. By that point, I was fed up. His father is a part of the fraternity as well. So I contacted Carl's dad about the situation and my concerns that I will not be repaid the $2,000 I am owed because his son does not make an effort to repay me, and I've tried to be nothing but respectful until this point. Currently there is tension in the household, and Carl rarely comes to hang out with us if I'm involved. And if I appear in the living room, he will either do a chore or go to his room. I didn't want this to happen, but I can only imagine owning your roommate $2,000. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but you guys are going real soft on him. In my fraternity, you got 1 strike when it came to debts. Strike 2 was a come to Jesus talk. Strike 3 was character assassination until compliance was achieved. My brother said in the Army strike 3 was they'd beat the frick out of said person and call it a training accident. Not the idiot. You're way too nice. This guy stole from you and your housemates. He took your money and then didn't use it to pay rent. He should be kissing your feet for not pressing charges. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for defending my hobby to my girlfriend? Everyone has their little hobby that they enjoy doing when they have a little free time or when trying to unwind after a long day at work. Mine just so happens to be gaming. It's not excessive as I only play for 1 to 2 hours in about 3 days a week when I'm unwinding after working all day. My girlfriend, 22F, is not the biggest fan of games, as her past partners proved that they were putting games over the relationship. We've had plenty of conversations about it, and I understand that she's had difficulty with games in the past, so I try not to overdo it. I make sure I sit down and talk with her and make sure everything is good before I sit down for the night before coming to bed. A couple of examples are, I run our laundry, I clean up our room, and I make sure everything is cleaned up and ready so that she never has to worry about anything. I try to remember to do everything she asks, as I have borderline ADHD and will sometimes zone out and forget that she asked me to do something. Fast forward to a couple of nights ago, same night as usual, but before she went to go shower, she had asked me to put some drinks in the fridge so she had something to drink before bed. I was at the games at that point and was completely zoned out and didn't hear her tell me. She comes back out and quiet, so naturally picking up on this, I asked her if everything was okay, and she tells me she's fine. Which obviously means I've done something to make her upset. She then proceeds to tell me that I prioritize games over and that she's done with it. Me being super confused as to how I've been prioritizing it over our relationship, asked how I've done that. She then says that I ignore her and that I'm addicted to video games. I then start to defend my position on it, as games to me are a hobby and something that I enjoy doing after working all day. I do a fairly good job at buying flowers and making sure she knows that I love her. I'm not the best at that because of my past relationships, but I've been working on it as I know it's important to her. Fast forward a little more, she's now super pissed at me and won't talk to me. Any thoughts? Disclaimer, I do all the household chores, make sure the dog is fed, clean our closet and all her shoes since she leaves them laying everywhere, make sure everything she asks of me is done, and everything is done before I even think about sitting down to relax. She does not have to worry about doing any of it because she asks me to do it all. Not the idiot. But please, my brother, leave that girl. It's never going to get better, and she's going to beat you down until you just give up on your hobbies. I've seen this exact same scenario happen over and over and over. Get out while you can. Not the idiot. If she has a massive gripe with her partners playing video games, then why is she dating people who have this hobby? This is obviously a lifestyle conflict. So you're telling me you work, come home, do all the household chores, and ask her permission to enjoy yourself? That sounds like an exhausting relationship and likely will not work out in the long run. If you liked this video, you will probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.